Hello, YouTubers. I've been thinking about this for a little while. I wanted to share with everyone a lot of things that have been on my mind and that led me to where I am today. But I didn't know how to, without going into too much detail. Um, I, I knew I wanted to share it because I know that it could possibly help someone else. Not only that, but there's probably someone out there going through the same thing. But I wanted to talk about how this time it's actually different than me being overweight before and trying to lose weight and saying it but not doing it. Basically, my mentality today than what it was my whole life, than those pictures in the first video you guys saw of me. How do I do this? Well, first of all, it started from my childhood. There's a lot of things I saw growing up that I shouldn't have never seen. My mother and father were married, but they were separated when I was 4. Some things have happened to me during my childhood that should have never happened to me, but they did. And because of those things, because I was a child, so those things were out of my control. But those things led me to make bad decisions once I became a young adult. What I mean by bad decisions, it was basically being with anyone that would tell me anything that made me feel good, because I wanted and felt the need to have someone to protect me all the time. And since I was at a vulnerable state and young and naive, I basically picked the wrong people to be with and dealt with a lot of things that I shouldn't have even had to deal with if I would have been in my right state of mind and just walked away or said no as soon as they mistreated me. But I didn't. I stuck around. I figured I don't want to be alone. I don't know what else is out there. I don't want to try anything else. So I just dealt with certain things. And my mentality in that led to me losing a lot of weight, starving myself because I was upset because someone would leave me, and then I would jump to the next person, and then they were older than me and cheated on me with a woman 10 times older, 10 years older than me, and left, and then I ended up being with someone who was incarcerated and by pen pals. I'm like 19 years old, 17, 18 years old, writing to an inmate, grown man in jail. Basically made bad decisions. And I didn't know that person, but I ended up marrying them in jail, getting pregnant while they were in jail, with them, by them, and then they come out of jail and I found out they're a cheater, a compulsive liar, and a drug addict, which they failed to mention the whole time. We were writing letters, and then next thing you know, still married and stuff. I hung up in that relationship. I hung in there for about 7 years off and on, and my weight was already at its 200s at 17, 18 years old. And I haven't been able to get under those 200 since I became, since that age. And I've basically been at the 200 since. And I became an emotional eater. I started eating when I was mad. I started eating when I was sad. I started eating when I was stressed out. Then all of a sudden, I lacked hugs, kisses, someone to protect me, all those good things that come in a relationship. So I would just sit there and eat because I felt complete or full in one sense of my body, felt satisfied with the food. So, and I knew I had a problem because I started having health issues. Right after I had my daughter in 2002, I had gallbladder issues, sleep apnea. 2003, 4, I was at 290. That was my highest. I had my daughter in 2002. So, things just started escalating. And, of course, when you go to the doctors, they tell you have sleep apnea. I'm asking why. And they say, because you need to lose weight. You're obese. It's your weight that's causing you these issues. You're still young. And, yeah, they told me. I knew what it was, but I wasn't ready to give that up. Food was the only thing that was making me feel full or fulfilled in some sort of way. I was not ready to give that up. I knew I had a problem, but I wasn't going to let that go. Just like I didn't want to let go of the bad men in my life and continue to be with them. And, I'm not blaming them for all the things that happened to me and all the things, the cheating, the beating me, the stealing from me, I can't blame them for that. I can't blame any man for anything they did to me because I had the choice. I should have stayed. I had, basically it was my choice to be in a relationship. I had the power to get out of that if I wanted to, but I didn't because I was vulnerable. I was weak and I didn't want to be alone and a whole bunch of other stuff that at the time it didn't make sense, but to me it did. Of course, young and naive. And so basically I went from that relationship. I had my daughter in and out of homeless shelters. My husband in and out the picture, and my ex-husband in and out the picture. And then I got pregnant again by him, and I had a miscarriage. And then a lot of things happened when I had a DNC, to take everything out. That around that time that I ended up breaking up with him. And not even 6 months later, I was in another relationship. And with someone that mentally wasn't right to be in a relationship, but he seemed so nice and he was so much better than the last, that I was like, hey, this one's way better than that one because I didn't, I have anything else to compare it to, but I was like, whoa, he's 10 times better. He's kind of crazy, but at least he ain't doing drugs, Then he started cheating, and then I'm like, oh, but at least he ain't stealing from me. It was like I kept making excuses in my mind as to why I was going to stay in these relationships. My point that I'm trying to make is that my bad decisions, led me to always be in a situation where I wasn't able to confront my own situation because I was too busy dealing with that situation or with the drama, the stress, and the worrying about someone else that I wasn't able to focus on myself or my daughter. Yeah, I admit it. I made mistakes, and my biggest mistake was to not be a good mother to my daughter. I'm not blaming anyone, but I didn't know how to be a good mother to her because of the things that I had been through. I love my mother to death, and I'm not blaming her for anything. She has to deal with that herself, and I know it's got to be hard for her. I know she was sorry, but I didn't make the right decisions, and therefore my daughter saw me get beat up. She saw me yelling and arguing all the time and fighting. Now she has emotional problems. She was delayed in her speech. I have to deal with that too. That's one of the consequences of my actions, what I put my daughter through. She's 9 now. So my son, unfortunately, I got him out of that a little younger. That's another story. I'm going to go through that in a minute. But I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's 9 and my son is 2.5. And me and my daughter don't have the best relationship. But I know that it will be way better than the relationship that I had with my mom. And even to this day, I'm still working on my relationship with my mom. I love her very dearly. We talk to each other, but there was a time I didn't talk to my mom for years, because I was still angry at her. And I learned that I had to forgive her. Just like I had to forgive the men that did horrible things, because, hey, I chose to be with them, and I forgive myself for what I did to myself too. I held on to food, and it ruined me. It affected my health. It affected my self-esteem. It affected everything that I did. I always making excuses. I got tired of making excuses, but let me tell you about my son's father. That was the relationship that I got into less than 6 months after my ex-husband. And when I got into this relationship, he wasn't right in the mind. He was supposed to be on meds. I didn't know until after. But I was just so desperate to be with anyone that would tell me something nice and be nice to me. I was never used to anyone buying anything for me or treating me right, financially and providing. I wasn't used to that. I was always used to someone taking from me. So this one provided. So I kept making excuses. At least he provides. At least he does this and he doesn't do that. Well, he hit me a couple times, but he doesn't hit me every day. I was like making excuses all the time. So after 2 months of being with him, the first 2 months I got pregnant. And I did something that killed me for months, and I'm still paying for it because I think about it every day and it's right here in my head. I had an abortion. It was like a domino effect. Everything just went downhill after that. Got an abortion, lost my job, became homeless, lost a boyfriend, gained weight, got the boyfriend back. He was still crazy. He was still cheating. He was still acting the same way. He was actually more crazier. He went to jail. I waited for him. He got out. While he was in jail, I gained more weight because the food was making me feel satisfied and full, whatever. Then all of a sudden he was living the lifestyle where basically he wasn't coming home every night. So I was stressed from that, and he was very controlling. He didn't want me checking the mailbox, hanging out with my own family, or I didn't have no friends. He basically made it so that I was not associating with none of my friends. And I lost all of them because I had supposedly changed since I was in a relationship trying to please him by doing everything he told me to do. But again, that was my fault. I should have never let it get that far, but I did because I didn't want to be alone. So I made bad choices. Then I got pregnant again by my son. But while I was pregnant with my son, I was at my worst mentally. I started going crazy, throwing myself on the floor, crying, eating, not eating. Emotionally, there were things said to me that, which by the way, I'm not blaming anyone because I chose to be in that situation. I didn't want to let it go when I should have. But I didn't. And therefore, I made worse decisions by trying to hurt myself while I was pregnant.